And welcome to the Marcus and Mike Show, guys. I am Mike. My man over here to the left is Marcus. Marcus, how you doing today, bud?
Doing pretty good. What's going on, Michael?
Oh, it was a fantastic vacation. It was 105 degrees. Had a hurricane, and
Wow.
it's a win-win situation. So, how was your week off?
It was pretty good. Just chilling, man. Just enjoying the summer.
Right. So, during the week that we were off, Marcus, there was some
Oh,
big news that has
yeah.
happened, and we're gonna basically I want to hear your takes on it. The first thing
Okay.
we got to talk about is the Kawhi Leonard to Los Angeles Clippers. If you guys do not know, Kawhi decided to go to LA, not the Lakers, but the Clippers, and he brought Paul George along with him with a massive trade between the Clippers and the Oklahoma City Thunder. I believe it was a total of 5 picks and Shea Gilgeous Alexander from my Kentucky Wildcats. So, right off the bat, Marcus, what are your thoughts on this trade, or the signing of Kawhi and the trade?
Right. Yeah. Look, I was happy he didn't choose the Lakers. I mean, that would have been a disaster for me. I mean, he joins up there with LeBron and Anthony Davis, and it's just kind of just like a slam dunk championship almost. It would be almost like the Kevin Durant thing signing of a few years ago to the Warriors. So I'm happy he didn't go to the Lakers. I wanted him back at Toronto. That would have been better. But stay in the Eastern Conference, make the Eastern Conference stronger. But hey, he chose the Clippers, and I had heard that he didn't like the everybody talking about super team. Even though he did want load management, he didn't want to be he didn't want to go to a place where, oh man, if you don't do well tonight, we lose.
Right.
Um, but he didn't like that idea of like a super team where, okay, you're gonna win it, but are you gonna get credit for it? Yeah, of course you're supposed to win it. And he didn't really fall in love with that idea. And then when we last talked, it looked like everybody, all the experts had reported it was going to be the Lakers. Well, it turns out from what I heard, he signed with the Clippers, and if it wasn't going to be if the Clippers didn't get another, not necessarily superstar, but borderline superstar, like if they didn't get another All Star there, that he would have went back to Toronto. So the Lakers were third; they were not in play, and their dysfunctional um, organization there um, finished. He's the reason why that team was not in play, and he didn't like the idea of a super team. Um, so I and it wasn't, the weird thing is it wasn't. He didn't want to play with LeBron. If Anthony Davis wasn't there, this is weird. I think the Lakers would have been more in play because then it would have just been him and LeBron. The fact that it'll be him, Anthony Davis, and LeBron, I think he kind of soured on that. So listen, in the end, I'm glad he didn't choose the Lakers. He chose the Clippers, and the Clippers are ready to go. And that would have been my second choice. So I'm happy it's the Clippers. Now we're gonna have a Clippers Lakers Staples Center
Yep.
battle. The Clippers look. I think they're getting ready. I think they're gonna try to get out of the Lakers' way there in a couple years. I think they're trying to get a new stadium. So Kawhi Leonard is going to really help that, ensure that their games are going to be selling out, and Steve Ballmer, they want a new stadium. They don't want to share a building with the Lakers anymore. So that'll be really interesting to see the Clippers get their own building in a couple of years. But I guess I'm glad it's the Clippers as long as it wasn't the Lakers for me.
Yeah. Back when everything started to come out, and the people were talking and like everything like that. It seemed like LA was the clear front runner
Yeah.
the whole time. But I heard some stories. I mean, take this as you will because they are stories. Like he hasn't come out and said this himself, but he changed the meeting locations with the Los Angeles Lakers 3 or 4 times
Yeah.
while he was in LA. Supposedly, secretly, he was meeting with Paul George and the
Yeah.
Clippers, saying, "Hey, if you guys want this to happen, this we need to get Paul George happening." And Kawhi kept changing the meeting locations on the Lakers, making them chase him all over town. And
Yeah.
so if this is true, Lakers were never in the running whatsoever. He was
Right.
just pulling their chain along the whole time. And and I talked about this on a different
Right.
podcast that he was handcuffing the Lakers and pretty much the entire league to basically play into what he wanted to
Right.
do. I referred to it as a silent killer because he knew what he wanted to do the whole time, but he was dangling a little carrot over here, dangling a carrot over there. He was even interested in talking to the Knicks way over there. You know,
Right.
if the Paul George thing to the Clippers wouldn't have happened, I think he would have ultimately ended up in the New York Knicks uniform because they had so many assets and so much cap room to sign a player like Paul George
That's possible.
or a Russell Westbrook or something to
Yeah.
that effect. I think the Lakers didn't have a chance. Toronto was a distant third. Then it was the
Yeah.
Knicks, and then it was the Clippers. He was 90% into the Clippers the whole time, just dangling carrots, seeing what he could possibly happen. And
Right.
uh, and I think it is a good thing because there are what you have KD and Kyrie when KD's healthy. You have that tandem. You have Westbrook and Harden in Houston. You have AD and LeBron in LA. You have Kawhi and Paul George and like LA too. So I think this move by Kawhi simply blew up the whole super team thing, and it's a back to a pairs like Shaq and
Yeah.
Kobe back in the day,
Right.
Pippen and Jordan, and
Right.
and it brings excitement back to the NBA. It brings parity back to the NBA
Right.
because, like you said earlier, there are 12, 13 teams now that legitimately have a shot of winning the NBA
Yeah.
title this
Or at least they
year.
think, or at least they think they do.
Right.
Yeah, and I think that if it wouldn't have been the Lakers, you say the, I mean, if it wouldn't have been the Clippers, you say the Knicks. That's possible.
Yeah.
I'll still maintain the Raptors, and the Raptors probably would have been like a 2-year deal,
Hmm.
same kind of thing with the Clippers. He wants to have. If you're in the league 10 years, then in 2 years he's going to be able to sign for the largest contract in NBA history.
Right.
So that's what his plans are. And it's just the dysfunctional Lakers. He played them really like a drum.
Oh yeah.
I think his uncle Denny Robertson or whatever, wanted to talk to Magic Johnson for a while, so they got Magic involved. And how weird would that have been? Let's just say he said the Lakers. This is how I knew it wasn't going to be the Lakers in the final couple of days. Let's just say he said the Lakers, and people were reporting that, well, it was Magic Johnson that delivered, Kawhi, and not Rob Pelinka. He didn't even really discuss anything with Rob Pelinka. Rob Pelinka was kind of like an afterthought or
Right.
whatever. And how weird would that have been? There's Kawhi Leonard in a Laker it says I'm gonna come to the Lakers, and then he's there with Rob Pelinka, and then Rob Pelinka is like the GM or vice president of basketball operations now. And he can look at Kawhi, they look at each other and be like, "Man, you had nothing to do with me coming here." I mean, that's just so. How does the GM
Right.
of your team not have anything to do with the star coming there? So Rob
Or he
Pelinka
didn't even
wasn't
talk to him either, from my
right.
understanding.
So that's how I knew the Lakers were out.
Yeah.
It's just too stupid. It's just it's really dysfunctional there. But hey, the Lakers recovered, man. They got Boogie Cousins. They got a
Right.
few other pieces, and I think they're going to be just fine if they stay healthy.
Yeah, the
Um,
Lakers, like, I'm not worried about them whatsoever. But this also tells you that Kawhi wanted to go to Clippers the whole time. Is he didn't sign a max deal with them either. He signed a 3-year, $140 million contract with a third-year player option. So,
right.
which from my understanding lines up with the Paul George thing too. So him and Paul George are there for 2 years for sure together.
Right.
So that's the reasoning why I guess he only took a 3-year deal. But this shows you that his quad is healthy. We shouldn't have to worry about his quad anymore. Or it's at the start of the season, and he's ultimately where he wanted to be. So
Yeah, well, he's going to get a lot of load management too. He'll probably miss another 20 games with the Clippers. The Clippers have a good enough squad there where he can do that. Plus, Paul George is going to be there, and man, I'll make a prediction right now. He and Paul George will play together in 50 of the 82 games because There are going to be nights where Paul George gets rest and Kawhi's the man. He and Louis.
I'm
So
not for sure he'll be back before the season because he just had shoulder operation and
yeah, they they
from my
they,
experience,
they
it
keep
takes a while.
reporting that, but by November, when there are the end of October when the season starts, he'll probably be ready. I mean, how? I mean, this isn't the NFL. I think he'll be ready. I mean, so we'll see what happens there.
But also on that flip side, like I'm not for sure what he had wrong on his shoulder, but I tore my shoulder up pretty bad, and it took me almost a year and a half just to be able to get full range of back on it, and then Andrew Luck, he was out for that for almost two
Yeah,
years like on his.
that's true. We don't know the
Yeah,
extent of the injury. Like it's not like he wasn't playing football.
right.
I mean, so I mean, we'll see. Yeah, you never know. I don't know the extent of the injury, um, but it didn't seem like it was that horrible enough for him to miss a lot. I mean, we're still like months away, but
Yeah,
that's possible.
and he didn't
But
play
man,
the whole season all like with this tour, so.
right. And so, anyways, we'll get into it. But the Paul George thing was amazing too. Like the next, him getting traded and all that.
Yeah, speaking of that, I mean
Yeah.
the Clippers what threw a gotta sneeze 1 second, man. Sorry. Whew. It's that time of year. Sorry about that, guys.
Yeah.
But so the Clippers did throw what is it's a 2021 and 2023 first round picks to Oklahoma City. They're swapping their 2022
Yeah.
and 2024 picks, and they got a couple second round picks as well,
Yeah.
along with Shea Gilders Alexander, which is a pretty good
Yeah.
player in my mind. So
And they got Gallinari too.
right, which is kind of an afterthought, I think.
Yeah.
I'm not for sure if he was a deal breaker or like or not, but this showed you how much the Clippers wanted Kawhi on their team and to go
Yeah.
after Paul George by basically giving them 4 or 5 years of their team there, along with their first round pick from last year or two years ago. So, what are your thoughts on that? Like, is it a good trade for PG for all those
Well, look.
picks plus Shea?
Yeah. No. It is a good trade. Man, but it's amazing how Kawhi just runs the league now. How the players just run the league. He tells Paul. First, he tried to get Kyrie, I believe, and then he tried to get Durant, and they both told him, "Hey, now we're going to the Nets." And so he's like, "Okay." So his third choice was Paul George, and they got two of the best two-way players in basketball, maybe the two best if
Right.
Paul George is completely healthy. I like Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, that the OKC got, and Danilo Gallinari is going to eat up some minutes, man. He can shoot the basketball pretty well. All those picks, man. Oklahoma City, I feel bad for them. I mean, their fan base, I mean, pretty much it's over. They started over, but now they have 15 first-round draft picks in the next 5 years.
Right.
That's pretty amazing. Now they gotta use those picks wisely, and I have full confidence in Sam Presti, the general manager of the Oklahoma City Thunder, to use those 15 first-round picks very wisely. He's a good evaluator of talent. He knows how to pick players. Look, he picked Steven Adams and Ibaka and Durant and Harden, and he's had some pretty good picks. Westbrook. So yeah, it was a good trade. I'm just amazed that how you can just Kawhi Leonard can call you and say, "Hey man, get out of there," and then he goes, "Yeah, I've been wanting to get out of there," and then Paul George says, "Hey man, you got to make a trade or you're going to have a disgruntled employee," and then they have to like pretty much acquiesce to what he says and get him out of there.
Yeah.
It's just amazing how I'm not super mad at it or anything like that, but it's just wow. Like man, I knew the players ran the league, but if you didn't know the players run the NBA before the Paul George trade, you better know now. As soon as a player says, I want out of here and I want to go to this team, or you're going to find an unhappy player, you kind of almost have to move them sometimes because you just don't want any of that permeating your locker room. Me personally, I would have told Paul George to take a hike if I was Sam Presti. I'd have said, "You just got here.
Mm-hmm.
Russell Westbrook, your boys, and we're trying to do something here. I know we lost in the first round last year. Your shoulder wasn't right, but I can't have a rebuild. I don't want a rebuilding situation. If you're Sam Presti, I mean, I signed Paul George for a reason. I kept Russell Westbrook for a reason. I'm going to build around you guys. I just wouldn't have done it. But man, the way the NBA is now, look, uh, that you don't want unhappy players. I mean, I understand why David Griffin got rid of Anthony Davis. I mean, the guy had a shirt that said "That's all, folks" on the last game of the year. I
Right.
get him out.
Right.
I would have got him out of there. Like I wouldn't want him disgruntled. I wouldn't want him talking to Zion, telling him how crappy our organization is.
Right.
I would have got him out of there.
That's a great point there.
Kawhi Leonard also disgruntled. I would have got him out of there too. I wouldn't. People here in San Antonio were like, "No, keep him. Keep his ass on the bench. Let him be unhappy." Nah, I don't want any of that situation.
No.
I don't want that in my locker room. I need to move on from that. But the Paul George and Russell Westbrook thing, I would have kept them too. I wouldn't have. I'd still go on and compete. I'd want to put the pieces around them to try to win a title. But man, Sam Presti almost like had a gun to his head. And so there you go. And Paul George is gone, and then Westbrook followed. Now, Sam Presti did the best he could, man. I mean, that's pretty good. He got 15 first-round picks out of that. And he got his starting point guard for the future in Gilgeous-Alexander. So basically, he got his point guard of the future, 6'6", taller than Russell Westbrook. Could be a dynamic player. And he got 15 first-round picks. So Sam Presti did a heck of a job there in giving Westbrook and Paul George what they wanted.
And also, Shea gets to learn from one of the better point guards in the league, from Chris Paul. So,
yeah, I think Chris Paul's going to be moved pretty quickly, though. Yeah. I mean, not quickly, but I just don't see him at 33, 34 years old, playing for a young OKC, Oklahoma City Thunder team. I just don't see it. I think they go ahead and release him or do something with him. Maybe get something for him and return something small. So, but it's got to be a team with cap room. They have to send, somebody has to have cap room, or it's got to be an equal dollar on the sign and trade, which I don't think teams are willing to give that up for Chris Paul. They're not going to give you $40 million in value for Chris Paul. So it's got to be a team with cap room, or they're just going to let him go. They're just going to say, hey, okay, see you later, man. They're just release him.
And it also has to be a team that's like one piece away from winning a championship as well. Right. Maybe a LA, maybe the Clippers or the Lakers need that one shooter in the the second half of the season, and they can make something happen. But right. I want to add to your point there, where you say this is a player-driven league. I want to add to that, it's a superstar-driven league. Let's say in the same situation, Steven Adams, he would have went to the OKC manager. The trade probably wouldn't have happened as fast or at all if it was Steven Adams. But since it was a superstar like Paul George, it happened pretty quick there. So just to add to your point there, Russell Westbrook was also traded from Oklahoma City to Houston for Chris Paul and a slew of picks as well. You are on record to me, not out in the public yet, but you say this trade catapults the Houston Rockets into a second seed. Are you still standing by those words?
Yes. A lot of people are like, how's it going to work and all that stuff. Man, are you kidding me? And listen, I hate the Houston Rockets. Let me just, everybody look at my Spurs hat. I wish this trade wouldn't have happened. But the Rockets just became a better team. And people overanalyze stuff. They say, well, how is this going to happen? And all that. Stop overanalyzing. Chris Paul, Russell Westbrook is a better player than Chris Paul, and he's 3 years younger. Russell Westbrook and James Harden have played together before. They know what to expect. They're friends. Also, it's about relationships. They're really good friends. So, so in other words, James Harden and Chris Paul weren't really good friends. And so now you see what happened there. They didn't like each other that much. That's not going to happen in this case. You're going to have nights where, well, let me say this: James Harden is not going to play point guard now the entire time. Chris Paul, he would give the ball to Chris Paul. He's going to do the same thing with Russell Westbrook, and then also one of those guys is going to be on the court at all times. So now when James Harden is sitting for his little 13 minutes, he averages like 35 minutes a night in a 48-minute game. That 13 minutes, Russell Westbrook's going to be running the show. They'll probably only play together, let me say this too, about 24 minutes a night average. So also, people love you get people that overanalyze it and think they know all this basketball mumbo jumbo and stuff. I was told the same thing by a few so-called experts too when LeBron James and Dwayne Wade got together. That Dwayne Wade, if you remember, before LeBron James got there, he had the ball in his hands all the time. So how's this going to work? Well, they made it work. They're friends.
Right.
And now Dwayne Wade, actually Dwayne Wade was probably near the age of Russell Westbrook. I mean, 30 years old. I mean, it wasn't the young Dwayne Wade, but man, they made it work.
Yeah, but
Just
also on that same coin there, Dwayne Wade knew LeBron James was the better player. He was the best player in the just like in the league. So you have to kind of convert to the best player in the league and let him do his thing, and then you become the side
right,
become the
right,
sidekick. In this situation, who is the better player? Who is going to be the man and set the ego aside and become the sidekick? Because I don't think James Harden is willing to become a sidekick again after being the sixth man on Oklahoma City for those couple years.
right.
I don't think he wants to become a sidekick again. And Westbrook was the man for so long. He was the man when Harden was there on the sixth the sixth man. So who was going to be the man on that
Well,
team?
no, it's James Harden's team. I mean, he's the most recent MVP candidate. I mean, I know Russell won it a couple of years ago, and that's fine. That's why I'm saying these two have a bond. This is a relationship thing, so I don't think that's going to be an issue at all. These guys almost borderline love each other. They're like brothers, and
I mean, like,
they're they're
I
happy.
definitely hear what you're saying, and I understand the relationship and like everything that they have. But at the end of the day, Russell was averaging a triple double for the last 2 years. Harden is averaging 33 point shots at like a game. Those two styles, I don't think are going to mix all that well. And I mean, like you can analyze it all you want, but my eyes tell me that they cannot run an isolation offense with Harden at the point guard shooting threes all day long because Russell Westbrook's going to get upset.
No, I don't see. That's the thing. I don't think he's going to get upset. I think he loves his brother. So there's no. And one thing that the Rockets do all the time, when we've talked about this till we're blue in the face, they shoot threes
Yep.
and then they dunk. The Rockets have the worst mid range game. Harden never shoots a 15-footer. It's either go to the goal, pass it to somebody, or shoot a 30-footer. And so the Rockets are notorious that now they have the ultimate mid range guy,
Right.
a guy, and Russell Westbrook is going to make them more explosive, more faster. Um, he's a better version of Chris Paul. They will. It's going to work because they're friends.
Okay.
And Russell Westbrook, they're going to have to do it for the betterment of the team. They're not going to have the same usage rates that they did for their respective teams. That's obviously a given. But do they want to win or do they not want to win? I don't think these two guys are stupid. I think that they'll figure it out. They'll come together and they'll win. And I can't remember. Tell me a time in NBA history. These are two top 10 players, right? Where two top 10
Yeah.
players were on the team and it didn't work. I mean,
Yeah. No. Yeah.
I
Right.
don't. So if this doesn't work, really, if this doesn't work, I'll be shocked. And which I mean, I don't think I'll be shocked. I think this thing is going to be pretty awesome. And I think that they catapult themselves to the third seed easily.
Okay.
And if not, depending upon the Lakers and Clippers' health, if Kawhi and Paul George aren't playing, the shoulder injury with George and
Yeah.
Kawhi Leonard, load management stuff, and if LeBron is, he's going to be 35 years old. If he and Anthony Davis aren't healthy, the Rockets could be the number one seed again.
So is the only way the Rockets become a 2 or a 1 seed is if either of the LA teams get hurt in your eyes?
Right. Yeah, because the two LA teams to me are superior than everybody else, especially if LeBron, like I said, if LeBron's healthy and he gives everything he has and he plays like he's 30 years old again and not 35. I mean, no, the Lakers and Clippers will be the two best teams, and Houston will be that third seed.
So this is
But
way too early predictions. We're like 9 months still to go be for the NBA playoffs even start to form. In a 7-game series, who do you have between LA Clippers and the Houston Rockets?
Oh, I'll take the Clippers. Better defensive team. What was amazing too, and I guess I didn't say it earlier about the trade, the trade for Paul George. They gave up Gilgeous Alexander, which is that they had to give up a nice piece there.
Yeah,
6'6" point guard. That's a pretty. But they didn't have to give up Lou Williams, Landry Shamet.
or
I
Beverly.
mean, those two guys shoot the ball as well as anybody in the
Hmm.
league, and so they didn't have to give up those two guys, the Clippers, to get Paul George, and they didn't have to give up Montrezl Harrell as well. I mean, Montrezl Harrell is like the kind of a new version of Dennis Rodman,
Yeah,
6'8" and grabs every rebound, block shots. I mean, really good
a
defensive player.
nasty,
So,
nasty player. Yeah, he just
right,
gets in
so
there
they
and
didn't
does
have to
does
give
dirty
up.
work.
Right, they didn't have to give up any of those three players. So, kudos to them on that for not having to give up any of those players. So yeah, I mean, I still think the Clippers would win the series. They would beat the Rockets. They're just bigger.
Yeah,
You put Paul George on and Kawhi Leonard on Harden and Westbrook, and Harden and Westbrook are like in that 6'3.5", 6'5" range, and George and Kawhi are in that 6'8" range. So I got if let's just say they were even talent wise, I'm gonna go with the taller player. That's the same thing on draft night. If me and you were running a NBA draft board, you told me, hey Marcus, this guy's 6'4" and this guy's 6'8", and they are both awesome and they do the exact same things. I'm gonna say let's go with the 6'8" guy.
right.
No, but it's just not to say that the 6'4" guy's bad.
It's just
So
height
it's
advantage. Yeah,
right. It's a
I
height
get it.
advantage. So I'm gonna go with the two taller players in that regard. But man, they're gonna that's going to be fun to watch, man. If you're a Houston Rocket fan, I mean, and from what I'm hearing, and I'll reiterate, D'Antoni said he's going to have one of those guys on the court at all times. They're not going to both be sitting there talking to each other unless they blow a team out,
Right.
which is they're going to blow up a couple of teams out. One of those guys is going to have the ball in his hands at all times. Matter of fact, the old Chicago Bulls, there was a few seasons where Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen were not on the bench together in when the game was still in question. You always had to have either Scottie Pippen out there or Michael
Hmm.
Jordan out there.
Right.
So the only time they were on the bench together and when they were blowing teams out, and so it was just for. So yeah, Russell Westbrook thing, that's going to be exciting to watch. Um, when James Harden's in trouble, you throw it to Russell Westbrook and then he slashes to the basket. And let me tell you something else. Russell Westbrook is a pretty good rebounder to be 6'4".
Yeah.
He has a Dennis Rodman type mentality. Go ahead, you tell me how many times this year, and we'll count them, when Harden shoots a three and Russell Westbrook, instead of getting back, is going to crash to boards and dunk it in and lay it in.
I'm going to make a bold prediction and say 8 or 9 times a game.
Yeah, well, I mean that's kind of excessive, but yeah, no, but you get my point. It's going to be a couple of times a game. Yeah, I mean, so and then yeah, so I think they're going to be just fine. Now, what people are saying, like, oh, how can they coexist? If this was the first time they were ever meeting, then I might have an issue. Like,
Right. Yeah.
they're like, hey,
Right. Right.
yeah, but this is not. Or if in the past, if we found out they didn't really like each other, no, then I would have, this trade would be silly.
Yeah.
But the fact
People forget that James Harden did play in OKC off the bench for 3 seasons, I think, before he went to Houston. So
yeah, no, they really get along well, man, and they know each other's games.
Right.
They know Russell Westbrook knows that James Harden's going to jack up threes, and and James knows that now he has a better version of Chris Paul. When he's in trouble, you throw
Yeah.
it to Russell Westbrook, and he's going to go get you a simpler bucket. So, man, I hope it doesn't work out. I hope the game one they're slapping, they hate each other. But
Yeah.
man, yeah, it looks.
So I want you to make a bold prediction here on July 15th, 2019, when January 1st rolls around. Let's make it January 17th. Like that's kind of the halfway season of
Right.
when the NBA season really starts to rolling. If the
Right.
Rockets are a 500 team, they're 12-12, 14-14. Do they fire Mike D'Antoni and find
Yes.
somebody else?
Oh, absolutely. That means that they're not going to blame that stuff on the. Yeah, that's a great question, by the way. They're not going to blame that on the players.
Yeah.
Even if you say you and I can see, and everybody can see that, hey, this thing isn't working. You got all the people said it wasn't going to work. All right, but they're not going to blame the players, man. D'Antoni, they didn't even renew his contract, and
Yeah.
so he's kind of he will be gone. and then you'll be looking at somebody else coming in and filling the maybe Mark Jackson from the sidelines, or
Yeah.
somebody.
Out of the
Somebody
three
will be there.
teams that we talked about, the Lakers, Clippers, and now Houston, which coach is in the hottest seat having to perform this year? Is it Mike D'Antoni for Houston?
Yeah, absolutely. Doc Rivers is comfortable in his position,
Yeah.
and Coach Vogel, the old Indiana coach. You know what? He. People are saying, oh, he'll be out of there. Out of there and all that stuff. I don't think so. Not right off the bat. This is a new marriage. I mean, they're still on their honeymoon.
Right.
Like he's not going to be gone the first year. I seriously doubt that. I know Jason Kidd's there now, but Vogel's be fine the first year. Doc Rivers is fine. So yeah, it's Mike D'Antoni all the way. Um, so
Like
yeah,
if you guys want to be honest about it, his seat's been hot for the last few
right.
years. So
So so yeah, if they're 20-20 after 40 games, it may not even get to that. Maybe he'll be fired.
yeah. So you say it may not even get to that point. Like at what point do you want to pull the trigger on letting him go? Is it
Oh my god, man!
10
I'll ne-
losses,
yeah,
12
I'll never
losses?
forget the Lakers fired Coach Mike Brown the first week or something.
Yeah.
I don't think D'Antoni will be that bad, but it'll be pretty. How about not 20-20? How about 10-10?
Yeah.
I think 10-10 he's gone. I think, man, in this NBA in this Western Conference, okay, you go on a 5 or 6 game losing streak and you're gonna be find yourself in ninth or 10th seed very quickly. You can go from the Spurs last year went on a rodeo road trip and they went 1-7
Right.
and they found themselves quickly in the seventh or eighth seed, and they didn't recover.
Right.
So you go on a bad stretch here in the Western Conference, you could be done unless you have like a 15 game win streak in you, and I don't think anybody has that in them. So no, after 15 games, Houston Lakers and Clippers better be around 15-5.
Right. And on the flip side of that coin, you don't want to be too good either because you don't want to meet Golden State as the A seed if you're a 1 or a 2 seed because they can
Right?
very well knock you off because
Yeah,
Klay Thompson should be back about the time
he'll be
hitting
back by
his
then.
hitting his
Oh God.
like his stride. So
And I was hoping to go a day without mentioning the Warriors. I hate the Warriors, Michael. What did you do to me? Hey,
hey
man, I hope they finish 16th.
hey,
How about the 16th seed?
speaking of the Warriors, I heard a rumor that they are looking to shop D'Angelo to the Cleveland Cavaliers for Kevin Love. So this was just a piece to bring in to for some trade bait to add some size to their team. So
Hey, that's possible. That's actually. But here's the thing. I don't think if you're Cleveland, I don't want that because I'm trying to develop my young guys. Remember this? Cleveland just drafted Colin Sexton last year.
yep,
Then with their three first round picks, they chose Kevin Porter, multi-talented guard in the first round, the 30th overall selection out of USC. And they also drafted Darius Garland, multi-dimensional point guard and can be a two guard, but like in CJ McCollum, Damian Lillard
yeah, it would
type
make sense
situation.
on their end,
Yeah, it
but
would it wouldn't make sense. It wouldn't make sense at all because they're you add D'Angelo Russell to that mix. I mean, they would just be way too guard heavy. And considering what they just drafted, yeah, I wouldn't. The
but
Kevin Love to the Warriors makes sense, you know.
yeah,
But
for the
I've heard that
Warriors,
Cleveland, yeah, I've heard that Cleveland wants, like a CJ McCollum and Damian Lillard situation over there with Colin Sexton and Darius Garland,
yeah,
which could be possible. But then they draft, like I said, they drafted Kevin Porter, unless they throw Kevin Porter in the mix, and then they also got Dylan Windler, also from Belmont. So Cleveland had a really good draft. But Kevin Love does make sense for the Warriors. That would be pretty good. But I just don't see the fit there with Russell because they're too many two guard heavy there in Cleveland.
yeah. The only thing I could think of like what Cleveland is thinking here is we know what he brings to the table, and we don't know what these players that we drafted bring to the
Right.
table. So do you lay your cards on a for sure thing or a what if type situation? What it comes down to, I think, like on their side of things.
No, if I'm Cleveland, I don't do this deal. I don't care if D'Angelo Russell averaged
Yeah,
21 points a game. I'm trying to develop the guys that I drafted, and he would hinder that.
and I don't want to make the Warriors good again.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, oh God, yeah. Yeah, I hope I hope the Warriors miss the playoffs. But if they get Clay back and D'Angelo Russell and Curry are rolling, I mean, they'll probably be in the playoffs.
Right. So
Unfortunately, yeah.
so let's go ahead and switch gears 100%, Marcus. Football season is, I feel it in the air. It is hot, it's nasty, it's humid. There are kids out here right now on the field practicing, getting ready for some camp. That's where I'll be here in about 10, 15 minutes. Pretty excited. So we have to talk Dallas Cowboys. Dak Prescott, top 5 quarterback in the league. You say.
I don't think he's top 5. I think he's top 10.
Okay, so
Somewhere in that 6 to 10 range, I'd put him.
okay, so let's say he's a sixth ranked quarterback in the
Okay.
league. He is going to warrant a pretty good contract coming
Yeah.
up here, and his contract is coming due. Uh, the Cowboys don't want to pay him that money, or do they? If you are the Dallas Cowboys GM right now, do you give Dak his money or do you let him walk?
You know, I got to give him his money. The Dallas organization, it's hard to find quarterbacks. And I've been a long time Cowboy fan here. When Troy Aikman got hurt in 2000, um, we didn't find a franchise quarterback for about 6 or 7 seasons. We went through Clint Sterner, Ryan Leaf, Anthony Wright, Quincy Carter. I could keep going. It's terrible. And so we suffered. The Cowboy organization really suffered, and the fan base suffered until we found Tony Romo. And man, you just don't want to. You got to. Whenever somebody says, "Hey, get rid of somebody," or "Don't sign him," or you got to give me who we're going to get instead, and we're not going to give the keys to the kingdom of Jerry World to Cooper Rush or Mike White. Those guys are not going to get, and unless they know something we don't. We'll see how those two battle in training camp for the backup quarterback and see who gets the third string, or if they even keep 3 quarterbacks and release one of those guys and go with 2 quarterbacks. I wouldn't do that, but no, you got to pay Dak. Look, and I know Dak's deficiencies. He's not accurate downfield as you would like, but the man has a 96 quarterback rating for his career. He's 32-16 as a starter. Only Tom Brady has won more games. Dak Prescott has 14 come from behind wins in the last 3 years. That's the most of any quarterback. He also has the best touchdown to interception ratio in NFL history. Second to Aaron Rodgers. Once he gets enough attempts in the year for that to become a stat for him. In other words, he's not in the record books yet with his quarterback rating all time, and the touchdown to interception ratio because he doesn't have enough attempts. Once he gets that, I think it'll be this year. He'll be second to Aaron Rodgers in that touchdown interception ratio, and Russell Wilson I think is like third. So this is a guy that has taken care of the football, even though his downfield accuracy has not been as good as the top 10 quarterbacks in the league. Listen, I know Jason Witten, he's a Cowboy and he might, be exaggerating a little bit. Although I take Jason at his word. He says that Dak Prescott, because he wasn't with Dak in the second year. He said that Dak Prescott is a completely different player now, just practicing with him. That this is not the first year of Dak Prescott. The guy is really gotten it together. And he was pretty good his first year. But this guy knows exactly what's happening. He's more accurate downfield. Jason Witten is singing his praises. So I'm going to take Witten on his word that Dak, because he would know better than anybody the development of Dak Prescott and how he threw the ball from whether his first year to now in his third year. Going into his fourth year that Jason Witten learned about what Dak's doing. So listen, you gotta sign Dak Prescott. Man, I hate hearing that $35 million stuff is man, it's way out. Man, that's pretty amazing stuff. I mean, I don't know why they haven't gotten the deal done yet. This seems like this should have already happened. I wonder what the holdup is, the guaranteed money. At first, a few months ago, it was like $25 million a year. Now it's gone to $35 million a year. So maybe they're trying to meet in the middle there, and it'd be $30 million a year. But I think Dak would give us give the Cowboys a hometown discount. I really do. This is a man, pretty humble guy, 4th round pick, 135th player taken in the draft overall. Made like 600,000. He's gonna make 2 million this year, I think. I think that's the most he can get on his rookie deal. But he's made like 600,000. You know, there have been backup third string quarterbacks might have been paid more than Dak Prescott last year. Let's be real. So I think that I don't think I think if you came to Dak and said, "Hey, man, we're trying to sign Amari Cooper, Zeke. Can you take less than 35 million? I mean, can it be more in that 28, 29, 30 million dollar range?" I think he would do that. Maybe his agent would balk at that, but I think Dak would do that. I think maybe that's behind the scenes of what they're talking about there, because I think this deal should have gotten done a long time ago. I think Dak knows that the deal is going to get done, that it's imminent, and he was wearing a cowboy hat last month and saying, "Hey, I'm gonna be a cowboy for life" and all that stuff. So um, I think he's going to be a cowboy for a long time. So yeah, no, I don't let him walk. Let me come back full circle here, because who would be the quarterback then? You know,
Exactly.
we don't even have a Teddy Bridgewater waiting like the New Orleans Saints have, waiting in the wings.
That's
So
that's their third string quarterback, Teddy
yeah, I
Bridgewater.
would not let Dak Prescott walk at all. So no, no, he's being signed. Dak has the leverage here of just you just don't want to be in a season, you know, uh, where Dak, it could be like a funny, a skit here. Dak, do you have leverage? Yeah, of course I have leverage. Sign me for 35 million. No. Okay, good luck with Cooper Rush. All right, guys, I'll talk to you later.
Right.
That's all you just say Cooper Rush and you got the leverage.
Yeah, I mean, I have to agree with everything that you said there. The Cowboys go from a Super Bowl contending team with Dak Prescott at quarterback to a
Right.
second or third overall pick with Cooper Rush at the helm. I mean, like that is a little bit extreme, but
Yeah.
that is how dramatic, like how
Right.
much Dak Prescott is valuable to the Dallas Cowboys right now, because
Right.
they don't have a backup. They don't have a third string. They don't even have a practice squad quarterback that could come in
Right.
and do okay. Um,
Right.
but on the other side of the coin, you have to have those pieces around Dak. You have to have Amari Cooper. You have to have Zeke. You have to have the offensive line for Dak to do what to do what Dak does great.
Right.
And that is manage the game. He is a Alex Smith s quarterback through and through. He will not win you games, but he will not lose you games either. He will keep you in the mix. He will get the ball in the right spot at the right time, not throw costly interceptions, hopefully, and to hang on to
Well,
the
see,
ball.
I agree with your assessment there. I mean, he's not Drew Brees. He's
No,
not Tom Brady. No, he's not. But we say he won't win you games. He won't lose you games. He has 14 come from behind wins in the last 3 years.
right.
So that's
Which okay,
that's pretty impressive right there. That's part of his negotiating. Like um, the guy it can be clutch. Like I mean, I'm not joking. And the reason he doesn't have more playoff wins is because his coach Jason Garrett
yeah,
wanted to give he just wanted to give a few more seconds to a guy named Aaron Rodgers.
right.
So I blame the coach for Dak not having more playoff wins.
Yeah,
Dak's pretty, I even hate to say that, to be honest, like the clutch thing, like like yeah, but Dak has shown me 14 come from behind wins is no joke, man, in 3 years.
yeah,
And I think Dak struggled his second year more. He had that sophomore slump, but that was more to the offensive line was horrible.
that, and
Um,
we also had higher expectations of him as
yeah,
well.
right,
Just like I tell my players all the time, you will never be good enough in my eyes. If I see you doing this, I expect you to do this.
yeah,
If I see you doing this, I expect you to do that. So
right,
that's exactly what we're doing for like Dak. We saw you come in and do well, being drafted as a second string quarterback, expecting you to sit the first
right,
year, and then Tony Romo goes and gets hurt and he's out, and you do so well. So that
right.
second year we had such high expectations for him, which he did not meet. But then his third year, he obviously did better, like I think, and then
Bro, absolutely.
and then this year we expect him to go to the Super Bowl. The Cowboys have a Super Bowl
Yes,
caliber team, and we expect him to go to the Super Bowl.
absolutely we
So
do. Yeah,
I really think the holdup is to see if Dak can be that elite style quarterback. Is he a
right.
top 5 quarterback? Because you said it yourself, and I have to agree that he is not a top 5 quarterback. You have Patrick Mahomes better than him. You have Tom Brady. You have Drew Brees. You have Aaron Rodgers. I'd even throw Matt, the guy from the Falcons at in that top
Matt
5
Ryan,
mix.
yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, sure.
So
Deshaun Watson.
yeah.
I think if I was to rank them, and maybe we'll do a show on that. I'm thinking just I'll top of my head, Dak's 9 or 10.
Right.
Because you listen, we can name all those quarterbacks that can throw the ball better than Dak Prescott, but you can't argue his 66% completion percentage, his
I'm not
quarterback
trying to
rating,
argue
his
that at all.
wins.
I'm not trying
No,
to
no,
argue
I
that
know.
at all. Yeah.
I mean, his wins. The guy wins.
Yeah. Just like Al
So
Davis says, just win, baby, win. So,
just win. Yeah.
but you also have those pieces just like around him. So he cannot sign
Yes.
that 35 to 40 million dollar a year contract. Like you said, hopefully he gives us a hometown discount,
Yeah.
and like he knows that, hey, I need Amari Cooper, I need Zeke,
Right.
I need this offensive line. So hopefully you are right. He will take a hometown discount so the Cowboys can be great for years to come. We see this foundation for the next 5 or 6 years built, ready to be a dynasty again. And it starts with the quarterback situation. So yes, give the man his money, but hopefully he says, I don't want that much money. I don't want that
Yeah.
much
No.
money.
Yeah. So
Give
yeah,
me
that
give,
$35 million.
give me a little less.
I mean, he can't. He's got to know he can't get Russell Wilson money yet.
Yeah.
And I
So
think
I want to touch on that real quick. Every $100 million quarterback that you see, they sign that contract. Where are their teams now? They are struggling to make to the playoffs. They're struggling to be 500 teams.
yeah.
Falcons, horrible. Lions, suck.
Right.
Seahawks, going to be next in line. You guys are going to suck too. So
You know what? I'm right with you. I don't think Seattle's that good. They lost Frank Clark. I mean,
they
not
lost
now.
anybody that mattered almost.
Yeah, I think Doug Baldwin retired. His
Yep.
number one receiver the past 5 years. Russell Wilson. Now he's getting what 20-30% of the cap now.
Yeah.
So the offensive line is not as good. I think you saw the last of Seattle with our Cowboys beating them in the playoffs. I really
Yeah.
do.
I mean, the
Russell
only
Wilson. Russell
receiver
Wilson's
they
gonna
have
win
is
some
Tyler
games.
Lockett.
Yeah, Russell Wilson's going to win some games for you, but we're talking 9-7. We're not talking Seattle like 12-4 anymore.
No. I mean,
They're 8-8, 9-7.
I mean, the only reason why they'll have an opportunity to make the playoffs next year is because their division is so weak. Cardinals, horrible. 49ers, mediocre.
And you mentioned the Lions and Matthew Stafford. I was amazed to find this out. I thought maybe they snuck one in there one year, right? Matthew Stafford has never won a division.
Nope.
And he got all that money. Think about that for a second. Dak's won 2 divisions. 2 out of his 3 years won a division, and then he's never had a losing record. And here Matthew Stafford can't even win his division, and he gets that money.
I think if my memory serves me right, they've only had 3 winning seasons, or 3 seasons above 500 with him as a quarterback. So take that into perspective.
And notice what we're doing. We're not necessarily cutting down Matthew Stafford per se and his talent. We're talking about once you give Matthew Stafford that big of money, your team doesn't fill out their roster as well with better players.
Yeah, and the reason why they're so bad is because they can't find a tailback to take pressure off the passing game.
Right.
They can literally drop 10 or 9 guys into coverage, rush 2, because their tailback is from a 2A high school here, and he was a second string tailback at the 2A high school. So, but that's a story for a different day, guys. Football season is right around the corner. Tomorrow we start making way too early predictions, starting with the New England Patriots, starting in that division and working our way around the map, guys. So the next 40 plus days, a lot of football thrown at you, get you hyped for the season. Because today is July 15th. So in about a month, the first preseason game is going to kick off with the Hall of Fame game. So guys, get excited.
And tomorrow, are we start doing teams tomorrow? So tomorrow you want to do the Patriots, or are we starting somewhere else?
we have to start with the Super Bowl champs. I mean,
Okay.
unless you have something else.
No, Patriots are fine. And then,
Yeah.
hey, tomorrow, I want to get into this. The NFL is thinking about adopting an 18-game schedule.
Yes, I want to get in that.
Let's get into that a little bit. And you can only play out of the players. You can only play 16. So there's going to be 2 games where every player is going to need load management at some point in time. That's very interesting. We'll get into that tomorrow.
All right, guys, join us tomorrow as we kick off football talk full speed. As always, like, comment, subscribe, share this with a couple friends, and we're out.